Welcome to Corvallis. Today, the state of Oregon is a house divided. Last week, Oregon stunned Utah in the final seconds. On a drive engineered by freshman quarterback Justin Herbert, Beavers quarterback Marcus McMarion had an impressive performance of his own against Arizona. Ryan Nall has returned to form and hopes to power Oregon State to their first rivalry win in 9 seasons. It's the 120th edition of the Civil War, next on Pac-12 Network. Welcome to Corvallis, Pac-12 football, presented by Geico. It's the Civil War. The Oregon Ducks, the Oregon State Beavers, from a sold-out Reser Stadium. Along with longtime NFL offensive lineman, former Arizona All-American Glenn Parker, Kate Scott with us as well. I'm Roxy Bernstein. We're proud to bring you the Civil War, an honor to be here for this great rivalry, Glenn. You played in many rivalry games. What's it like?
Oh, the veins in the forehead are pumping right now. You can feel your heartbeat in every joint. These kids are so ready. It's wild down there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And this is one of the more heated rivalries in college football in Oregon, and Oregon State coming in with momentum. Oregon, a big win, a big comeback last week in the upset at Utah.
Absolutely giant win for that program, the way they came ready to play. Now, Justin Herbert, he did a nice job down the stretch. He made key plays. Evan Bayless right here over the middle. He made plays with his legs when he had to. He could scramble. He found ways to keep the ball moving forward and stay ahead of the chains against a very good Utah defense. And the more he got going, the more momentum he had, the better he seemed to play, and it all paid off at the end with the pass to Carrington to win that game.
So Oregon, that late controversial touchdown by Darren Carrington got them the win in Salt Lake City. On the other side, you were here, Glenn, to see Oregon State. Terrific performance against Arizona last week, and Ryan Nall is back into Ryan Nall form.
I love him. He's a battering ram of a football player. He's the type of guy you like. So it's very simple what they try to do. They run their offense through him. Now it starts off with just straight zone blocking, hat on a hat, let him go through and hit some, get your 3 to 4 yards. Then they'll use split flow. Now you'll watch, it's the same type of blocking scheme, except your H-back is going to come across. This led to some huge gains against the Wildcats. But what it is, it's about setting up looks. So there's your split flow, in he goes. It's good for 4 or 5 yards. Now that same look, here we are. Now, your defense is getting used to being pummeled by Nall because it's coming at him all the time. So they see the same action, they react to it. Now, they know it's play action to this point. The safety, Isaac Hayes, right there. Isaiah Hayes is looking. He thinks he's got this post route nailed. He's going to get the pick. Double move. They waited to the perfect time to use it. They kept bringing Nall at him time after time, play after play. That opened up big gains. And, hey, if it comes down to it, Ryan Nall can do it all himself. He'll break 4 or 5 tackles to get in the end zone. The guy is a battering ram. Love the way he plays. Old school.
The wrecking Nall, as here come the Beavers out onto the field for the 120th Civil War. Let's check in on the field with Kate Scott.
All right, Roxy. Well, in addition to being the 120th edition of the Civil War, it is also Senior Day here at Reser Stadium. The last time that 18 Beavers are going to put on those Oregon State unis before they bid adieu next year. One of them is obviously Victor Bolden Jr., who is one of just 16 guys in the nation to score as a rusher, a receiver, and a kick returner here in 2016. But it's not just a big day for the players. It's also a big day for the parents, like Chandrika Deku, who's seeing her son Preston play here at Reser for the very first time. A battle with breast cancer has forced her to watch his other OSU games from her home in Louisiana, but she said she wasn't going to miss coming out here for this one, making her son some gumbo on Thanksgiving, cheering him on here today. And Coach Gary Anderson says that he cannot thank these seniors enough for buying in, for sacrificing so much. He says he's always going to wish he could give these kids more wins, but he knows that one win today would be something these seniors could hold on to for a lifetime. Guys?
All right, Kate, we'll kick off the Civil War next from Reser Stadium in Corvallis. The Oregon Ducks, the Oregon State Beavers, next on Pac-12 Network. The Civil War, Oregon and Oregon State. From a full house in Corvallis at Reser Stadium, the Ducks won the toss and will receive the kickoff to begin the 120th Civil War. Oregon at 4-7, they're 2-6 in the conference. The Beavers also at 2-6 in Pac-12 play, 3-8 overall. And both teams coming off wins last week. Oregon the upset at Utah, while Oregon State dismantled Arizona here last week as Charles Nelson back to return. He's brought one back to the house already this season. 2 career kickoff returns for touchdowns. Adley Rutschman with the kickoff, and it goes through the back of the end zone on a couple of bounces out to the 25 for Oregon. Justin Herbert, the freshman from Eugene, so he knows all about this rivalry. There are his numbers last week in the comeback win against Utah, as Herbert making his 7th start after taking over midseason for Dakota Prukop.
It'll be interesting for me, Roxy, right away. I want to look at the middle of that Oregon State defense in depth. Not the line, but linebackers, safeties, if they can hold up.
Herbert, the play action on first down. Firing the deep ball for Johnny Munt, and it's incomplete. Oregon State ready for that. Xavier Crawford in coverage, the redshirt freshman from Pittsburgh down in the Bay Area. And Oregon quickly to the line, as you would expect. 2nd and 10 from the 25. First carry for Royce Freeman, and Freeman picks up a couple before he's chopped down. Devin Chappelle there for Oregon State, along with Manasseh Hungalu.
Nice job, Calvin Throckmorton, the right tackle, pinning and getting the edge so that there was any yardage to be had at all.
3rd and 7. Freeman's the running back. Herbert dumps it off to Freeman, and Freeman brought down shy of a first down. Dwayne Williams closing in along with Hungalu for Oregon State.
You notice what they're doing defensively. As Royce Freeman moves, they move defensively with him so that they've got a big linebacker and a corner sitting there waiting for the underneath throw.
Oregon goes 3 and out. Ian Wheeler on to punt, averaging just under 38 yards per punt. Victor Bolden Jr. is deep for Oregon State. They have 2 return men back. As Wheeler with a short punt, bobbled, and luckily for Oregon State, Andre Bowden jumps on top of it. He struggled with a 29-yard punt from Ian Wheeler, and Oregon State's going to start, Glenn, with good field position.
Yeah, and Oregon is lucky that they didn't pick up a penalty here because he's on his knees, so he's down. It's dead ball the minute he shows that he has it. Now, heads-up play to grab that ball. Oliver heads-up play to throw himself in there because it was clear he didn't quite have total possession.
So here comes Marcus McMarion. 5 touchdown passes against Arizona last week, and you talk about efficiency. 16 of 19 through the air. So the sophomore who made his first career start in the Civil War last year. Now, the injuries at quarterback, McMarion getting the nod in Civil War for the 2nd straight season. Ryan Nall, the running back. And McMarion keeps it. And McMarion brought down shy of a first down, but he gets 9 as Brendan Schooler on the stop.
And I'm fairly certain that Gary Anderson would very much like him to learn to slide better. It's nice that you want that extra yard, but you have to be very careful when you don't have depth at quarterback. And this is simple zone read concepts. And if you're going to put yourself down there, you better go a little harder.
And on that play, the umpire, Matt Jordan, is being attended to by the athletic trainers for Oregon State. Lan Clark is our referee and his crew today.
We're going to look at it here. Yeah, he takes a helmet right up to his face, and so we hope that he's all right. He's laughing.
Which is a good sign.
That is a good sign.
So Matt Jordan, our umpire, after a gain of 8 for Marcus McMarion, who's completed 59% of his passes, making his 6th start this season. Last year threw for 154 yards in the Oregon State Civil War loss at Autzen Stadium. Did run for a touchdown in that game. Nall goes in motion. The pass out to Nall. Makes a move. Nall breaks a tackle into Oregon territory.
I tell you what, NFL scouts drool when you see a running back reach down and snatch that ball out of the air. He didn't go to his knee. That's great hands, great awareness to know where he was on the field and what he had to do with it.
Good effort from Troy Dye to trip him up. At the Ducks 48. Oregon State trying to take advantage of good field position after a short punt. It's Ryan Nall, and he's brought down the line. Good read from Johnny Reagan, the linebacker. And Jimmy Swain there as well for the Ducks.
Yeah, Jimmy Swain makes this play he gets so much penetration so fast. The Nall has to stop in order to just find a hole to get through.
And this is a unit, Glenn. The Oregon defense just decimated by injuries this year. They're just trying to find any healthy body, and it doesn't matter what position. They're just throwing guys out there to see if they can make plays.
The unfortunate truth in college football is unless you're a factory, and there aren't many, there's a few, your second and third guys are just not there for you.
Ryan Nall through the line, first down.
Did we mention he's shifty? Tell you, he's the type of guy, there's guys that make people miss, and then there's guys that make people want to miss. And there's a lot of people want to miss tackling him because he hits you so hard. But he does a great job there being nifty.
At the Oregon 35. First down and 10. McMarion on the rollout. Throws coming back. Incomplete. Tried to get it to Timmy Hernandez. And it's second down as Khalil Oliver. Nice job defensively for the Ducks. Well, you were alluding to his elusiveness and his ability to power through tackles. Thanks to our friends at PFF College. Here's the yards after contact per rushing attempt this year, and Ryan Nall, the leader in the conference.
And that just shows you, the first off, it's per attempt. So your tackles for loss figure and everything, how many yards he's getting after that first contact, that's impressive.
He averages just under 7 yards per carry on the season on 2nd and 10. And they keep it on the ground. And it's Hernandez on the carry.
I'll tell you what, Jordan Villeman, wide receiver, sets this up with a just incredible crackback block. It was legal, it was above the waist, it was not targeting from what I could tell, but he sets the edge. Watch him outside, he comes down right there, big shot. It's clean, and that set the edge. That got them the yardage.
Paul Lucas actually the ball carriers. Johnny Reagan was the victim of that block from Villeman and is still down. So a timeout of the field. Oregon State facing a third down, driving on their first possession.
Welcome back to the Civil War, and what a great sight it was during the coin toss here in Corvallis. That is Seth Collins in the long black coat, just released from the hospital on Thanksgiving. I talked to his teammates as he stands with them on the sideline before the game, and Victor Bolden Jr. tells me that it means everything to have him here today, and that's even more so than just because it's a rivalry. They want to win this game for him, guys.
Yeah, Kate, great to see Seth Collins here with his teammates. He had 3 rushing touchdowns in the Civil War last season, where Oregon State tried to come back but fell just short in a high-scoring affair in Eugene. Marcus McMarion on third down will keep it, and he runs for a first down, lunging forward to the 20. Elijah George tripped him up.
That's where we see the maturation of McMarion. Last year, he wouldn't have taken that long. He would have made one read and gone, and it probably would have been stopped. But this time, by waiting and progressing and then going, the defense gets farther away and gives him a lot of room to run.
First and 10, OSU. Last year, a 52-42 win for Oregon, winning their 8th consecutive Civil War. And they led at 31-7 at the half before Oregon State a furious comeback. McMarion dumps it off. And Victor Bolden gets inside the 15 before he's run out by Daquan McDowell.
That's a great example, that play, when you watch Victor Bolden with the ball after the catch, putting his shoulder down, getting yardage. I'm not sure this team played that tough 2 years ago. Gary Anderson has instilled toughness. Nall's the perfect player to hang your hat on, and they shuffled his offensive line against Colorado, and since that day, they have been a much more aggressive, tough team.
2nd down and 2 at the 12. Ryan Nall straight ahead. There's a flag. Touchdown. But there is a flag back at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, front side of your offensive line. Your left tackle, left guard, center. Somewhere in there, he spotted an infraction.
Lan Clark, a referee.
The touchdown will count. Personal foul. Hands to the face. Defense number 74.
So it is a touchdown, the 10th rushing score for Nall, and it was a personal foul on Elijah George of the Ducks.
And it's something you rarely see called, and you can see he's got his hands up in the face mask of Dustin Stanton, the right guard. Now remember, those umpires, they're so much tighter now as you get down in the red zone. That's a very alert call and a good job by that official.
Garrett Owens, the extra point. The Beavers strike first in the Civil War. This was last night, right here in Corvallis, as Ryan Nall just right now going into the end zone, capping a 61-yard drive for Oregon State. They strike first in the Civil War. 7-zip, they lead the Ducks. And kicking off for midfield after the personal foul as Adley Rutschman sends it through the end zone out to the 25-yard line for the Ducks.
Well, you know, they like their simple zone, so it's everybody blocked down. Now here's your key. Get across and get to the second level. Ryan Nall, absolutely a beast. He's going to run through one tackle right there and then make a man miss. Nall, 29 yards on that drive. 25 yards were after contact. That's where we get those numbers. Incredible how strong he is with the ball in his hands.
12-yard touchdown run. Oregon, who went 3 and out on their first possession. Justin Herbert. And it's Royce Freeman tripped up. Benase Hungalu
Just
quickly on it.
Great pursuit from the backside. Trusted his eyes and got running.
1 yard for Freeman, who has a pair of 100-yard games in his career against Oregon State. Herbert on the move. And it's caught for a first down to Jaylen Brown.
Nice ball by Herbert. He had tight end underneath. Defense's eyes were there, and a really good route of staying horizontal and not drifting back towards the quarterback. And a great throw by Herbert.
From the 35. Herbert to Charles Nelson. And quickly on top of Nelson, Treston Decoud. And there is another Oregon player injured. And it's Evan Bayless.
The play of Decoud is going to be huge for this Beavers team. If the corners can hold up and press and make tackles, that allows your safeties to roam and be in the box. Decoud is a long, strong player.
And as Kate told you, playing in front of mom for the first time, the breast cancer survivor. Justin Herbert dumps it off, and it's Jacob Breland the catch. And he gets out to the 43, and the tight end position a little bit depleted with Bayless just getting shaken up. Farrell Brown not in uniform today, and that's a position where Oregon has had success over the years using their tight ends.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, it was something that talking with Sam Polis, I wanted to watch those tight ends, particularly against this defense where I think there's mismatches.
3rd and short. It's Freeman up the middle, and he gets out to midfield. First down, Oregon. And then after the play, flags come flying in as Hungalu was tangled up with a duck.
Yeah, and he's going to get, I think he's going to get a 15-yarder on him. It'll happen right at the end of the play. There's a little extracurricular on the part of Cameron Hunt, but it's always the second guy that gets called.
Senior offensive lineman
After the play,
there for Oregon.
personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 55. A 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So it's on Manase Hungalu, the junior from Kailua Kona, Hawaii. That's all the way down to the Oregon State 35. First and 10. Just past the midway point of this opening quarter as Freeman dances it outside. And Royce Freeman barreling to the 31.
Oregon loves to run pin and pull. It's you block down, you pull linemen, and any of their linemen can pull on any given play. In this case, left tackle and center. A great job getting under the block was Dwayne Williams. That way it set the edge. There was nowhere for Freeman to go.
Titus Filaunga with the stop. Second down and 6. And Tony Brooks-James gets his first carry, and he bounces it outside. First down, Ducks, run out by Decoud.
Great blocking up front. Cameron Hunt gets to the second level, sets everything up. There was big hole out there, a lot of space to run.
At the 23. Brooks-James dances toward the sideline, cuts it back in, and he's wrestled down and has another first down. Hungalu on the tackle for Oregon State, but that was a nice run by Brooks-James.
That sure was. You know, he was patient. He let the pullers get out there. He let them set their blocks. Then he took off. Got to be your own best blocker as a running back.
So the sophomore speedster from Gainesville, Florida, moves the 6. Oregon in the red zone for the first time. One more time, Tony Brooks-James up the middle. Brandon Arnold finally brought him down at the 3. An impressive drive going for Oregon.
Yeah, they're leaning on their offensive line. They're leaning on letting them lead the way.
Tony Brooks-James, he's in. Touchdown, Ducks. And again, the patience, Glenn, for Brooks-James to wait for his blocking.
That's right. He waited patiently. He let his guard, his center, and his backside tackle get push, and then dove in behind him.
9th rushing touchdown for Tony Brooks-James as the Ducks go 75 yards in 10 plays. Aiden Schneider for the extra point, the junior from Portland. And Schneider converts, and we are tied in the Civil War. 7-up. Well, the last win for Oregon State was down the road in Eugene in this series as James Rogers proved to be the difference. The Beavers stopped the Ducks on a last sequence here to seal the victory. In Oregon State, 38-31 in double overtime at Autzen Stadium, and the first road team to win the Civil War in 10 attempts. And Oregon State current graduate assistant Lyle Moyval started at quarterback in that game as Oregon State won in double overtime. The last Beaver win, and they're hoping they can end that drought against the Ducks today.
Yeah, that they are. They feel they've got the team, and it's the right situation. And they have really turned things around here. It's hard for fans to see that because the record's not that much better. But when you watch them on film, they're fighting everything. They're always within the score. The score is always manageable, even in the fourth quarter. They're never getting blown out the way they were. A ton of improvement from this Beaver team.
Seth Collins right there in the midst of that huddle on the sideline. And that's the one thing that strikes me with Gary Anderson. The buy-in factor, Glenn, which you've talked about it. This team easily could have quit with all the tough, heartbreaking losses they've suffered this year, the injuries, but every week they bring their best effort and they keep fighting. Movement up front.
All right, so they moved Gus Lavaca from tight end. He was out at tight end on the right.
False start. Offense number 63, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
They shifted. He goes to the left tight end, and he just got a little excited. I think he was so excited to be in motion and shift, and the big guys don't get to do that kind of thing very often.
Did you ever get shifted out as a tight end?
I was a tight end many times, short yardage goal line. I had hands and speed and some, jitteriness.
Hands and speed? You?
Sure, yeah. Hard to believe.
Ryan Nall into the line, runs right into Wayne Tay Kirby, the freshman from Pocatello, Idaho. And a short pickup for Nall, but did they ever throw it to you when you were lined up at tight end?
No.
No?
But I did go in the route. I was out there. I was open once or twice, but just never worked out for me.
2nd down and 14. So Oregon State, senior day. And the seniors would love to end that streak that Oregon has going over Oregon State. And the Ducks want to keep it going. Nall goes in motion. Marcus McMarion over the middle, and it's incomplete. Timmy Hernandez tried to make a diving catch.
And this ball is just too far out. There's the old saying, throw him open, but the ball's got to be there. This one is just short. It's dying on him. Hernandez does a great job trying to come up with it. And a good call by the officials. They were all over it.
3rd down, 14 for Oregon State at their own 21-yard line. Artavis Pierce checks in at running back. McMarion, the screen for Pierce. Pierce knocked down at the 30-yard line. Brendan Schooler the stop, and it's 4th down.
And I'll tell you what, Jimmy Swain was in there as well, and a big hit to get that stop. So Oregon State is just not good enough to overcome a penalty on a 1st down that puts you behind the chains. They rely on being on schedule all the time to drive the ball, eat clock.
Punt unit comes on for the Beavers. Nick Porevsky, the native of Melbourne, Australia, from his own 15. Dylan Mitchell back to return. Mitchell from his 25. Flag down. Mitchell out to midfield, but I have a feeling this is coming back.
Yeah, you got to be smarter than this. You can't block from behind. Tony Brooks-James, he thinks he's got leverage. He does not have leverage. The block was originating from behind the guy he was going to hit. And there's someone down right now for Oregon.
So the Oregon player is down. And it's Kaulana Apelu, a linebacker, a sophomore from IEA, Hawaii.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 12. A 10-yard penalty. 1st down, Oregon.
It's on Jet Janis for an illegal block. Let's take a look at the Wendy's Pac-12 standings. In the North was wrapped up yesterday with Washington's big win in the Apple Cup over in Pullman, and that was an impressive statement, Glenn, yesterday by Chris Peterson's team. The way they went out there, what was on the line for Washington, and the way they thoroughly dominated a very good football team in Washington State. It
was apparent that they're a much more complete team than Washington State. Washington State has, they've got the type of offense that wins a lot of games for them. It's going to keep them in games. But Washington, under Peterson, the way they've developed, the way they have taught the basics from the start, they've developed a very complete team.
Right now the Huskies are on the outside looking in, but that could change considering Ohio State and Michigan played today, and Ohio State outlasted the Wolverines in double overtime in the game in Columbus at the Horseshoe today. And Washington still will play a determined opponent that in the Pac-12 championship next week at Levi Stadium, and they don't know if it's going to be Colorado, who needs to beat Utah, or it's going to be USC.
Yeah, and I know that they'll say they don't care, but I think they would very much like to play Colorado.
The way USC is playing right now.
Yeah.
Oregon with the ball as Apelu walked off the field. From the Ducks 17, Royce Freeman at running back. And Freeman bottled up, and that's a loss on the play. Brandon Arnold and Hungalu on the tackle for Oregon State. And speaking of the Pac-12 championship game next Friday, Tickets to the Pac-12 Championship at Levi's Stadium are on sale now. Washington against either the Buffs or SC for the conference title. Get tickets at pac-12.com/tickets. Jacob Breland the catch. Nice throw from Herbert. And to bring up 3rd and short, Caleb Salo on the tackle for the Beavers.
Great job by Herbert to get back to manageable here with a 3rd and 4 coming out.
Split backs. Breland is in the backfield. And Herbert lobs it deep for Charles Nelson. And it's broken up, incomplete. Treston Decoud.
Decoud was beat. The ball, if it had any more velocity, might have been gone, but he does a nice job. Watch, he turns his head back and makes a play. A lot of times players will not turn their head, and that's why they get flagged. But he turns his head, makes a play on the ball. That's a great job by Decoud.
Oregon punting from deep in their own end as Ian Wheeler short punt his first time today. 29 yards. Former walk-on, now on scholarship, is Victor Bolden Jr. back to return. It's another short punt. Bolden calling for a fair catch and bobbles the football. It's loose. Looks like Oregon State recovered. We'll wait for the signal.
I think you're right, but you've got a pile. Now they got to figure it out. But it looked, after he bobbled this, it looked like Bolden purposely kind of tipped the ball forward past the defenders. And the officials didn't really see it.
And the Beavers jump back on top of the football and catch a break.
And you'll see
Andre
here,
Bowden.
Now as he goes for this, see how he tips it. Now, obviously it looks like he's trying maybe to pull it in, but it has the opposite effect. It goes forward through the defenders to his teammates.
That is a heady play because it appeared Bolden knew, Glenn, he wasn't going to be able to recover this.
I would agree. And a great job of smothering that ball.
So Bowden jumps on the loose football after a 31-yard punt as Oregon State begins this drive on the plus side of the field. From the Ducks 47, Ryan Nall, and he's wrestled down by Jalen Jelks.
And it's a seemingly small play that gets him 4.5 yards. And it looked like he was stopped for no gain. He's just strong enough. Reminds you a little bit of a Toby Gerhart, but probably with better moves.
Nall, who has 5 career 100-yard games, including last year when he ran for 174 in the Civil War, the most ever for an Oregon State Beaver in the Civil War. Already his 13th career rushing score in this game. Marcus McMarion to the outside, and it's Bradford with the catch, and Trevon Bradford right near the marker. And it should be enough to move the sticks for Oregon State.
Bradford, a true freshman. I saw him out on the field today. Smaller than I thought he was, but he plays big. You watch the way he throws his body around right now. Probably a part of being a true freshman.
He's from Oregon City, enrolled early, so he went through spring ball with the Beavers last spring. 1st and 10 at the Oregon 36-yard line. And it's McMarion keeping. And McMarion down to the 29. Troy Dye on the tackle, but a big chunk on 1st down.
That's the type of offense right now that the Beavers want. They want to grind it, they want to run the ball, and they want to speed this game up so that clock just keeps ticking away and limit the chances Oregon has.
Minute 15 to go in this first quarter. Ryan Nall, a touchdown run for Oregon State. Tony Brooks-James, a touchdown run for Oregon. On 2nd and 3. This is Bolden on the fly sweep. And Bolden run out shy of a first down. Troy Dye.
And a big block out front by Ryan Nall to cut the legs out of the defender and give him just enough of an edge to get around.
And a good job by Dye to stretch that one out and not give Bolden the angle to turn the corner.
That's right.
Third down and less than a yard for Oregon State. And Ryan Nall powers his way straight ahead. First down, Beavers.
And Mark Helfrich wants an illegal procedure. I did not believe they were set either. The wide receivers at the far side of the field were still jockeying their feet around. And he's upset. And I think he's got a right to be. The top of the screen, he saw they were still moving when the ball was snapped.
And Mark Helfrich still pleading his case over there.
And, you know, he unfortunately, this guy over here wasn't in the place to call it. The other guy didn't. So.
And that will take us to the end of the first quarter of the 120th Civil War. We're tied at 7 between Oregon State and the Oregon Ducks. From a full house at Reser Stadium in Corvallis. Tied at 7, the Civil War. Oregon State on the move, and Gary Anderson in his second Civil War as the Beavers head coach, going up against the Ducks and trying to end Oregon State's run. And the Beavers on the move at the Oregon 24, along with Glenn Parker and Kate Scott, Roxy Bernstein with me, and our terrific Pac-12 Network crew from a sold-out Reser Stadium. Marcus McMarion from the 24. As Paul Lucas goes in motion. The pump. McMarion throws, and it's incomplete. Overshoots the intended target of Victor Bolden Jr. And Glenn, you talked about this in the open, about the emotions on both sides coming into a rivalry game like this. How long does it take everybody to settle down and settle into a game like this?
Your first good pop. The first time you really hit someone. Then all of a sudden it's real. Hey, we're playing a game, and you're still going to play faster. It's going to happen. This is the closest that most college kids get to a playoff game. And that's in the NFL, playoff games are faster. And this rivalry games are just played faster.
Ricky Ortiz, the motion man on second down. And it's Nall. Jalen Jelks hopped on his back, the first man there. Time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. And this is the fourth longest rivalry in college football, and the longest west of the Rockies.
When you look at the age of some of those rivalries, 126 years ago. And I believe that's the Little Brown Jug game, is it not?
Yeah. And it will move past Missouri-Kansas because it's in a tie with that one right now. They're not playing anymore.
And, of course, the oldest trophy in rivalry games is the Territorial Cup, which now resides in Tucson.
A little pride, I think, with that statement right there from Glenn Parker as McMarion drops it off. Victor Bolden has it stripped. Oregon has it. Justin Hollins recovers for the Ducks. There's a flag. And a late second flag comes in.
A great job of stripping the ball by the defense. That was Aaron Springs, I believe, stripped the ball.
So the corner, Arion Springs stripped it. Justin Hollins recovers. There are penalty markers on the play. And just a third fumble recovery for Oregon this season if it stands. Forcing turnovers has been an issue for Brady Hoke's defense. The officials still sorting it out. Land Clark, our referee. And this is a pivotal play.
Yeah, it is. And Arion Springs did such a nice job of forcefully forcing that fumble.
The result of the play is a fumble recovered by Oregon. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Passing team number 52, that 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the recovery spot. First down, Oregon.
So an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after the play against Oregon State.
Here you can see as he's got the ball, Arion Springs does a nice job pulling as hard as he can, gets the ball out.
So the senior Bolding and having knocked away by Springs, and Oregon takes over. Justin Herbert on the move. Herbert, the deep ball, and it's intercepted. Deku took it right back. There's a flag.
They're going to get Deku for pushing. He didn't need to. He was already in great position, but both of his hands extend, and I think that's what they're going to get him for.
Pass interference. Defense number 14. A 15-yard penalty. An automatic foul.
Dekud was in perfect position, Roxy, and unfortunately he just extended his arms, and that's what they can see. Just enough right there to give him the separation. And you'll see it right here, you'll get a good look. He's in great spot, but see that little push? That's enough. They see that, they're calling it.
Try to get the ball to Darren Carrington, and 2 penalties of the ball out near midfield. Going down, Royce Freeman just stumbled trying to wait for his block to open.
And how about Treston Dekud? More fired up than ever right now.
The senior from Covington, Louisiana.
Yeah, he's out there egging everybody on.
2nd and 10. The crowd still doesn't like it. Herbert toward the sideline, too high for Jalen Brown. And it's incomplete, well covered by Xavier Crawford. So it's 3rd down and 10. Oregon State has not allowed a 3rd down and 10 or more yardage to be converted all season.
It just feels as if Oregon's offense, though, is much more capable in this situation than an Oregon State offense is at this point.
It is loud in Corvallis. On the ground, it's Royce Freeman, and he has a 1st down inside the 40-yard line.
And that play was run opposite of pressure. So pressure is coming. That means they're rolling the other way, and it's great job driving. You take a look at Cameron Hunt and Jake Hansen, center and right guard, just blowing people off the ball.
16 yards for Freeman, who gets the ball again. And he's tripped up across the 35 by Manasseh Hungalu. And Freeman, he needs today 161 yards to keep an impressive streak going for Oregon of consecutive seasons with a 1,000-yard rusher. They're sitting at 9, which is the longest active streak in college football. Looking to throw is Jalen Brown for Carrington. Touchdown, Oregon.
When you haven't had the season you want, you do what it takes. Defensively, they come up with a big strip, and the offense pays it off with a reverse pass. Safety's beat, he knows it. Other safety is too shallow, can't help. Carrington's open, and a great job of putting that ball on the money.
So Carrington with the game-winning touchdown catch last week in Salt Lake City puts Oregon on top off the pass from Jalen Brown. Aiden Schneider for the extra point. And Oregon has taken the lead. 14-7 Ducks. The fumble forcing
Arion Springs forces the fumble. They come up with it, and what do? You got to pay it off. And a touchdown to Carrington. Ducks up 14-7 in the Civil War.
Cooper Tire scoring drive, and the Ducks went 83 yards in 5 plays, and it was ignited by the fumble by Oregon State and the big plays on the drive for the Ducks. 14-7 Oregon as Matt Wogan kicking off, and he blasts this one through the end zone and out to the 25 for Oregon State as we check in with Greg Wolf of the Pack. Greg, so Glenn, if let's say Penn State wins and they go to the Big Ten championship, what happens with Michigan and Ohio State? They're not even playing for the conference championship.
That's part of the problem that we have with conference championships and a playoff system and the way they've set this up. So you get what you ask for.
From the 25, and it's Ryan Nall. And he's wrestled down by Wayne Tay Kirby after a short gain. Do you think that the committee should value the conference championship?
Well, I think if you're going to rate Michigan where you have, and then they lose to Ohio State, you have to look at the fact that Penn State wins. If they win the championship and they beat Ohio State, where does that all fit then? You have somebody rated too high, too low, something. Oregon State has to be very careful now that the pressure is on their offensive coordinator to not change who they are. They have to just try to grind out a long clock-eating drive.
On second down, Pierce goes in motion, the pass to Jordan Villeman, and he's brought down on the play by Johnny Reagan.
You know, that last touchdown that we talk about, when you got to fill some things out, it's just a simple over route. But I want you to watch how much space he gets because of, first, the reverse. And when we freeze this in just a moment, look where these safeties are caught and the distance between safety and receiver. There's just too much room out there. It was well designed, well executed, and led to that touchdown. You like a Ducks team that's breaking out all the stops so to win a tough game, to show what they can do. They realize it hasn't been the best season ever.
3rd and 5, and you see a fan has run out onto the field. That ain't cool.
Really isn't even running when you look at it. He doesn't, not the best form.
So Land Clark halts play while they take care of an idiot that got loose on the field. Interrupting our play where it's 3rd and 5 at the Oregon State 30-yard line. So Land Clark still waiting.
I believe in a more violent end to those situations than we just saw. Sorry, you come on the football field. You know, there's an old saying in the NFL. You cross the stripe, you be ready to play. The stripe is that big white stripe down the sideline. You cross that, you be ready to play.
You can't miss that stripe.
No, you don't miss that. You step over it, just be ready.
3rd and 5, Ryan Nall, the running back. McMarion over the middle, and it's caught. First down. Trevon Bradford with his second catch.
A big throw by McMarion to come up with this. Through traffic, there's the protection first off is outstanding. He moves just enough to get vision and puts it in a very small window. And not a lot of RPMs on that ball. It was moving. It just wasn't rotating a whole lot.
Gain of 15. McMarion slipping out. Ryan Nall the catch. And Nall down the sideline. Run out by Elijah George. Well-designed play from Oregon State.
It really is. Cross flow, and instead of handing it, he rolls, and that draws the defenders. They lose sight of Nall, and now out there, boy, you know, we talk about him running folks over. He's making people miss.
30 yards from McMarion to Ryan Nall at the Oregon 25. And it's Nall dragging tacklers with him. Only gets 2 yards, but it took 3 or 4 guys to bring him down. Khalil Oliver, the first man there.
Again, though, it's what are they building? No play is without its purpose. So yes, it's only 2-3 yards, but that defense, now they've seen him run, they've seen him with split flow, they've seen him catch a pass. They're just building a portfolio with Nall that makes it very tough on a defense.
Martavis Pierce comes in at running back. He goes in motion. McMarion, inside screen, And it's Timmy Hernandez inside the 20 down to the 18.
Timmy Hernandez, I tell you, he seems so undersized, but does a nice job of throwing himself around. It's a tunnel screen. Stanton's just a little slow to get out there, but a great job kind of waiting, and making something happen.
3rd and 3. Oregon State 3 of 5 so far on their third downs today. McMarion keeps, picks his way inside the 15. First down, Beavers. Nice. Tyree Robinson the tackle.
Nicely designed quarterback keep with counter motion. So you're going to pull a lineman. You see Stanton pull. Nall leads. You get a double team at the second level with Harlow and Stanton. McMarion does a nice job reading off it to get the first down.
First down and 10. Ball's at the 12. Oregon State looking for the equalizer here. And it's Ryan Nall. Runs into a pile.
So one thing we saw earlier, we've talked about split flow, but we've talked about zone, and they've used McMarion as the split flow on keep. So we saw that on the first drive. It got a nice gain. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pull that back out, and then if they don't, if not this play, in the next couple.
Pickup of 2. Artavis Pearson running back. Bolden's in the slot to the right side with Villeman. Timmy Hernandez out to the left. That's Bolden in motion. McMarion under pressure, steps up, keeps the play alive. And he's down to the 6 before TJ Daniel forced him down. That'll bring up third down.
Well, he really wanted the wheel route to Artavis Pierce, but it was well covered. Then he did a nice job tucking that ball, getting a little bit something out of nothing.
It'll bring up third down and 4 for Gary Anderson and his Oregon State squad.
And it gets tougher and tougher to think about those 4 downs down here.
Ricky Ortiz checks in as an H-back. McMarion dumps it off. Touchdown to Ortiz.
So everybody in football runs this. It looks like a lead, and then he's out. Every West Coast, it's a simple slide protection. He runs under it. It's beautifully done. Ortiz, they lose sight of him again. They do so much with the split flow that when it is a pass, guys are coming wide open.
Garrett Owens, the extra point is Ricky Ortiz, his first career touchdown catch, and the senior helps Oregon State tie up the Civil War. Today's Nissan Heisman Watch, and Christian McCaffrey, Glenn, playing his way back into the conversation.
He's the best football player right now in college football, but is it too little too late? Hey, Lamar Jackson's the leader in the clubhouse. Everybody loves him. You watch him play. He's dynamic. Jalen Hurts, all he is, he's the best player on the best team right now, the way he's leading that team. But I think that hurts him. I really do. But I still think we got to mention him. And Jabril Peppers, big-time playmaker. He's got to be. He deserves on the big stage. And today, again, he just makes plays all over the field, both sides of the ball, special teams. It's an interesting race this year. Nobody's really separated themselves other than Lamar Jackson.
I get it. It hurts him.
Yeah.
I caught it.
I really didn't even mean to do that.
Matt Wogan, from Oregon State, a short kick. And the Ducks get it back out across the 25 as Adley Rutschman's kick is returned. Downtown Corvallis on a Civil War Saturday. We're knotted at 14. Well, later tonight, Mike Yam, Lincoln Kennedy, and Nigel Burton recap the day in college football. Final score presented by Microsoft. later tonight on Pac-12 Network. And still one more game after we get wrapped up with the Civil War. Stanford hosting Rice. And Christian McCaffrey, what could be his final home game with Stanford. As the Cardinal in action. An impressive finish to the year for David Shaw's team. Flag down as Justin Herbert throws deep, and Jaylen Brown drops it.
I think this is an offsides. I think they took a nice shot. Jaylen Brown's got to come up with that ball.
Offside. Defense number 49 was lined up in the neutral zone. A 5-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
It's on linebacker Anjay Hughes-Murray, the freshman from Federal Way, Washington.
And this ball is put right where it has to be. There's open space. Beautifully thrown. Jalen Hurts just has to make that play. Sometimes those are the hardest, though.
1st and 5. Herbert dumps it off to Charles Nelson. And he bounces it outside. And Nelson cuts it back. Brought down shy of midfield. Elu Aiden gets downfield, the defensive tackle to make the stop.
Brady Aiello, the left tackle, number 66. Watch him out here in front. He's going to get a flat back right there, and then he's going to dive and try to get another guy. That's great blocking by your offensive line.
Royce Freeman slashes into Oregon State territory and gets 4 yards.
And yes, the game just revolves around the offensive line getting blocks.
Spoken like a true offensive lineman.
If you watch that, you can figure out everything else. It's easy. Your safeties and your lines.
Inside 5 minutes to go, first half in a tie game. Freeman pushed out inside the 15. 34 yards before he's run out by Brandon Arnold.
And great blocking at the perimeter by your wide receiver out here. Does a nice job, doesn't hold. He's right in the face of the officials. That sets that big gap. It's a hard fit for your defense. Great job running by Freeman.
Oregon looking to reclaim the lead. Tony Brooks-James, the ball carrier. And he's brought down behind the line. Caleb Salo, the first man there for the Beavers. No gain. Four receivers, including 2 tight ends. And a delay. Fumbled by Brooks-James. Oregon State says they have it. Beaver football.
A huge turn. I don't believe that Brooks-James ever has this ball. It rolls out. It looked like it was covered by the Beavers. But that's an extra possession that Oregon State's going to get now, ending the half and getting it coming out. Brooks-James with the ball. You'll see he has it. It's stripped immediately. Beavers with it. That's a big turn.
Welcome back to the Civil War, where this Oregon State defense, including Treston Dacoud, are fired up after that turnover, getting the ball back to their offense. And Treston, maybe even more fired up than the guys he's playing alongside, because when he was looking to transfer from community college just a couple of years ago, he actually sent his tape to Oregon, and he says he still has a screenshot of the email he got back from them December 17th, 2014, that said the Ducks would not be offering him a scholarship. Treston said, you know, that email always stuck with me because I just thought I could play with those guys, and I'd say he's proven that he can play with them here today. Guys?
All right, Kate, the defense just forcing their 20th turnover on the year and their 13th fumble recovery for Oregon State. Artavis Pierce, the running back, as the Beavers are at their own 6 after the costly turnover. And Pierce out to the 15. Brendan Schooler, the tackle. But that costly turnover as Oregon was going in, Glenn, to take the lead, and now the momentum shifts to the other sideline in OSU.
Yeah, it sure does, and now they have to find their little bit of Oregon-style football. They've still got a lot of time at 3:40, but it's a long way to go. You got to come away with some points, so you steal the possession, and then you get the ball coming out.
Do they need to pick the tempo up a little bit?
Maybe a little, but they're not going to change who they are.
On 2nd and 1. McMarion keeps, and he's spun down behind the line. Nice play by T.J. Daniel.
Yeah, T.J. Daniel was all over it. It's a really smart play. His eyes were correct. He read it immediately and made a nice tackle.
The senior from Oakland Officially, it's no gain on the play, so 3rd and 1.
And it's hard if you're Oregon State because you need to get out from the shadow of your goalpost, but you can't go so fast you give Oregon any time.
And a timeout taken by Oregon State. The first charge timeout to the Beavers here with 2:49 to go in the second quarter in a tie ball game in the Civil War. And here are the turnover numbers. And you talked about the improvement, Glenn. Maybe the number in terms of the record's not there, but the progress. And look at the turnover numbers and how they've jumped here this season.
And that's a product of buying in, of playing harder and more physical. All the things Gary Anderson preaches, that's how this happens. When you're not sure, when you're hesitant, you don't get those. But when you're playing hard and you're going after people, those things start happening.
And this was a costly turnover by Oregon State earlier that led to Oregon taking the lead before this last fumble denied Oregon a chance to go back in front of this tie game. Ryan Nall, the running back, and Ricky Ortiz, who caught a touchdown, lined up at tight end. Bolden goes in motion, and it's Nall straight ahead. And Nall fights forward for an Oregon State first down. It's just so tough to bring him down.
You know, he is the prototype of running behind your pads, something you hear a lot. What's it mean? That's the surface you hit. When he comes at you, you don't hit anything soft. You're hitting his pads and his helmet.
He has 50 yards after contact already today in both rushing and receiving. Ricky Ortiz in motion from the 18. McMarion play action to the sideline, and Brendan Schooler there for Oregon pushes Timmy Hernandez out of bounds. Coming up, stick around for the State Farm halftime report. Greg Wolf, Curtis Conway, Nick Aliotti knows a little something about the Civil War, and Evan Moore in our Pac-12 Network studios. They'll break down the first half. And can the rains in Southern California slow down USC? And of course, they'll look at that double overtime thriller at the Horseshoe today. 2nd and 6. And it's Ryan Nall straight ahead, barreling his way to an Oregon State first down. Another powerful run is Johnny Reagan on the tackle for the Ducks. All right, 1:46 now, Glenn, left in the half. How do you handle this?
Now you've got to be smart. No turnovers, but you got to start picking it up now. Now you're running a 2-minute offense.
2 timeouts for Oregon State. Oregon has all 3. Ryan Nall goes in motion. It's McMarion will throw on first down. To the outside and nearly intercepted. Trying to get it to Jordan Villeman, and Troy Dye. If that pass is on target for McMarion, that's an easy pick 6.
Yeah, Troy Dye read it. He knew where it was coming. McMarion, he's watching one, but he never gives the impression that he's not doing exactly, because his shoulders was turned the entire time. He never gave the impression he was going anywhere but there. A really good read by Dye.
And the true freshman who leads Oregon in tackles this year has had a brilliant freshman year. And Troy Dye, the first freshman linebacker to start the opener, the first true freshman linebacker to start the opener in 38 years when he started their opener this year. Inside screen to Bolden, cuts it back. And Bolden brought down. Ugo Amadi, Brendan Schooler combined on the tackle, and it's 3rd down.
Really looked like there might have been something. So it was a fake screen one way, come back tunnel screen the other way. But Oregon's defense, great job of closing the door fast. Really good pursuit.
Inside the final minute of the first half now. 14-all, the 120th Civil War. As Oregon State trying to end the 8-year run that the Oregon Ducks have in this rivalry. And Gary Anderson taking time. It looks like Oregon State will take time here, and then the play clock roll down. 37 seconds left in the half, and Oregon State's offense today and the blocking, which you've been highlighting.
Yeah, and the concept. See, this is just zone blocking one way with a read, which it gives you kind of a split flow look. That's what zone read does. But then you can run split flow where you're bringing your guy back across the formation. It's, again, the same blocking, a very small tweak to the look. And right here, this is zone blocking, and now with split flow with your fullback on the same side as your quarterback. Again, the same blocking, minor differences that give you many different looks for defense. So while it starts looking the same, that little tweak makes a big difference. They do a great job of making everything look kind of alike and then hit you with a little different.
There are the numbers on Nall today. He ran for a career-high 221 yards earlier this season against Cal. McMarion steps up under pressure, and it's incomplete.
TJ Daniel with pressure gets a shot on McMarion.
As McMarion threw that one behind Trevon Bradford.
We're going to take a look. This is just continued pursuit. Brings him down. And, you know, the thing is, McMarion is sitting there with his head down because he realizes he just missed what should have been a completion for a first down.
Nick Perebski, the Aussie, punting from inside his own 20, his second punt. And he gets an end-over-end punt. And Dylan Mitchell calls for a fair catch. And Oregon's got the ball with 23 seconds remaining. And the turnarounds this year in the conference.
No doubt. Washington, we knew they were going to be better. We didn't know they'd be this good, I don't believe. But 8-1 in the Pac-12. They win the Pac-12 North. They're building it the right way. How about the Cougs? The Cougs better. They especially after that opening loss to Eastern Washington, to come back the way they did. And Colorado's the one nobody saw. McIntyre was building it. We saw the buy-in. I don't think anybody thought that they would have a chance to play in the Pac-12 title game.
So many close, heartbreaking losses for Colorado the last couple of years. And that young team grew up. They just couldn't do enough the last 2 years to win, but they found ways to win those close ball games.
Oregon State, the third and final of the half. Again,
you're absolutely right in that they're the oldest team in the Pac-12, the most junior and senior laden, and all those guys with the experience of all those close losses, the double overtimes and whatnot. They learned how to win. They learned how to do it together, and it'll be interesting now to see if the young guys have been dragged along enough to maintain the momentum they've got this year.
I remember, let's go back to last year. You and I called the game at the Rose Bowl, UCLA, Colorado, where a heartbreaking loss. It's typical for what happened in Colorado the last 2 years. They dominated that game. At one point, they ran 59 out of 61 plays from scrimmage, yet couldn't close the deal in that game. And it's completely flipped for Coach Mack and the Buffs this year. And a chance to win the Pac-12 South with a win over Utah. Royce Freeman, nothing there. Manasseh Hungalu rather on the tackle. And that could take us to the end of the first half. An even first half between Oregon and Oregon State in the 120th meeting of the Civil War. At a sold-out Reser Stadium in Corvallis. There's been some excitement on both sides. The numbers are pretty much even in terms of yardage in this game, and we are tied on the scoreboard at 14 here in Corvallis. And Oregon State will get the kickoff to start the second half after Oregon received the opening kickoff of the ball game today. And Oregon State getting a touchdown run from Ryan Nall, plus a touchdown pass from Marcus McMarion in the first half, while Tony Brooks-James running for an Oregon touchdown here in the first half, as well as a touchdown pass from receiver Jaylen Brown to Darren Carrington, and a 14-14 game. In the Civil War, we expected a close ball game, and we are getting one. And Kate Scott down on the field with Gary Anderson.
Well, Coach, you told us during the week that you wanted to limit the amount of plays that Oregon was going to run and then run the football on offense. How do you feel you did in accomplishing that in the first half?
On the ball, just okay. We've had some nice drives, which has been a positive thing for us. And, we've had some situations that a mature football team doesn't do in a big game with some penalties and some different scenarios. So we have to settle down and play big boy football in big time moments and be a mature team. And we'll have an opportunity to win the game. But so far, so good. Tied up ball game.
What else do you need to do in the second half to win this one?
I think we got to run the ball. We got to get some big runs and effectively move the ball down the field. And we get in the red zone, we can't turn it over. We've both teams have turned it over in the red zone. Those are huge turnovers, one for us, one against us. So we answered back, but at the end of the day, you have to score when you get in there.
Coach, thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Go Beavs.
Roxy, back to you.
Great stuff, Kay, with Gary Anderson as his team tied in the Civil War with Oregon. 14 all in Corvallis, with shaping up for a terrific second half here up in the Willamette Valley. So Oregon State tied at 14. Let's send it to Greg Wolf in the studios with your State Farm halftime report.
Waking up like I gotta be the greatest, gotta be the favorite.
Well, here is our Can-Am game summary as you look at the Willamette River. Ryan Nall, first half touchdown for Oregon State. The yards just about even in terms of total offense. But a tie ball game in the Civil War. It's a rivalry game, and we're getting what we want, a close one between Oregon and Oregon State. Along with Glenn Parker and Kate Scott, Roxy Bernstein with you, the 120th Civil War, and it's a tie ball game. Turnovers played a big factor in the first half of this game.
Well, they have. Both team has one. It hasn't been the cleanest game overall, but it's exactly what Oregon State wanted. They own time of possession, 2-1. And now I know Oregon always plays how many possessions, but if you're gonna beat them in this type of game, you have to own the ball as much as possible and make the game clock speed by getting first downs, keeping the clock running, and that's exactly what Oregon State did in that first half.
And for Gary Anderson, he's looking to end the Oregon 8-year run in the Civil War, and Ryan Nall getting involved for Oregon State.
In every phase. And right here, just a beautiful catch. Does a great job going down for that ball. But, he's a battering ram, as we've talked about. He makes people want to miss him. He makes them miss. He kind of does it all. And he's the type of guy that you key on so heavily that you wonder, how does he get lost in a pass route? But he does. They do a really nice job of using him in different looks and then having a change of pace and bringing in other backs and running with their quarterback. They've got a nice offense set up right now around Ryan Nall.
And Marcus McMarion had an efficient first half in support of Nall, the Oregon State quarterback, 12 of 17 through the air, threw a touchdown pass to Ricky Ortiz. While on the other side for Oregon, the Ducks have used Royce Freeman, who ran for 71 yards in the first half. Tony Brooks-James, a touchdown run for Mark Helfrich. And Justin Herbert was okay in the first half as well, only threw the ball 9 times. But he's managing the game, and a freshman getting introduced to this great rivalry and one of the premier rivalries in college football.
Yeah, and obviously he's from right up here, so he's used to it. He knows all about it. But I think he's been efficient. They haven't asked him to make hard throws. They've set up a lot of things for him, and what he's done is he actually should have another lot of yards because there was a drop by Jaylen Brown, and so he's been everything you'd want a freshman to be in a game of this type.
Matt Wogan with the second half kickoff that bounces through the back of the end zone. Oregon State football as we check in with Kate.
Well, guys, I talked to Coach Helfrich coming out of the locker room, asked him what he said to the guys in the locker room, and he said, I told him I was proud of him. I thought they did a good job walking away from some heated, emotional situations in that first half. Told him to just do the same here in the second, keep their heads about him, and they've got to finish clean offensively, as you just mentioned, Glenn. He said, we had a touchdown in the first half. We just dropped the football. So finish clean offensively. These are the last 2 quarters of your season. Go out there and play like it, guys.
All right, Kate, everything on the line in this game. This means so much to both sides. The schools separated by about 45 minutes. And Oregon State would love nothing more to end this drought, while Oregon wants to keep their dominance going over their arch rival. Ryan Nall starts off the second half, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Jimmy Swain, the linebacker, on the stop for Oregon.
And Jimmy Swain's been active all day. He's shown up in a lot of the plays. You look at the quarterback comparison. McMarion obviously more opportunities and therefore more yards, but in reality, I look at the way the Beavers are going about it by eating that clock up and grinding out drives.
And trying to keep that Oregon offense off the field. Second down, 10 for the Beavers at the 25. And McMarion gives to Nall straight ahead, and he's brought down by Gary Baker. And he gets 3 yards. It'll bring up 3rd and 7 for Oregon State.
And right now, if you're a Duck fan, you'll love what your defense has come out here trying to set the tone in the third to start this third quarter. Both sides of the ball, this is always the most important drive.
So Mark Helfrich's defense trying to get a 3 and out to start the second half. 4 receivers lined up for the Beavers. Nall, the running back, next to Marcus McMaryion. From the pocket, McMaryion under pressure, trying to keep the play alive, and he goes down. He's sacked. T.J. Daniel. 3rd sack of the year for Daniel, the senior.
McMaryion does a good job of getting out, but credit Daniel. He comes all the way around. He never gives up. He keeps his motor running. McMaryion has to understand that's a youthful mistake. Don't try to make something out of nothing, because now you don't even have the opportunity to switch field position.
Loss of 13. Nick Porepski punting from his own goal line in a rugby-style kick. Dylan Mitchell on the return. Mitchell keeps it alive, then goes down. Good coverage by Oregon State after a 46-yard punt by Porepski. The Ducks have good field position in a tie game. The emotions of a rivalry game, the Civil War, tied at 14. 12:46 to go third quarter, and Glenn, terrific field position for Oregon to start this drive.
Yeah, it is, and it's because of that sack. That sack was a 13-yard loss. Well, the difference in starting field position, 15 yards. The longer it takes for a team, the more plays they have to run to get a touchdown, the odds are something devastating happens.
Royce Freeman, in his first carry of the second half, nets a first down and a gain of 11.
And for no other reason than it's been studied, the more you go over 7 plays in a drive, the odds of having a turnover or a negative play skyrocket.
Into Beaver territory. Tony Brooks-James gets the carry. And Brooks-James weaves his way down to the 30-yard line. 19 yards for Tony Brooks-James.
The offensive line, they're doing a great job of owning their ground at number 1 and then setting the edge. So the puller, in that case, Gus Lavaca coming around.
Brooks-James breaks a tackle. And Tony Brooks-James gets 5. Devin Chappelle on the stop.
So we see that attitude. Oregon's defense came out fired up. They needed to get something done. They get a sack, they force a punt, and their offense now is taking up that mantle and really coming off the ball.
Royce Freeman back in. Herbert on the rollout for the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon, Charles Nelson.
A great job. I love Justin Herbert taking his time, letting this develop. The tight end under isn't what he wants. He wants that over route by Charles Nelson. And he delivers an absolute strike. And Nelson, a nice job going up to get this ball.
5th touchdown grab for Nelson on the season. And Herbert, an impressive 19-4 touchdown to interception ratio on the season with that 19 touchdown pass. Aiden Schneider the extra point, and Oregon has reclaimed the lead.
Oh, a true freshman, Justin Herbert. Just a great job being patient, getting his shoulders around, delivering a strike. And Charles Nelson, the guy does it all for the Ducks.
Here are the Taco Bell in-game leaders as Ryan Nall, 55 yards in the ground for Oregon State. Tony Brooks-James with a touchdown run for Oregon, as the Ducks have almost 150 yards on the ground between Brooks-James and Freeman. And a 21-14 lead for Oregon in the 120th Civil War. Could be returnable. And it's Bolden bringing it out. And he's brought down shy of the 25, and a late penalty marker comes in on the play.
We got a helmet on the ground, so I'm wondering if it has to do with
Andre Bowden lost his helmet.
Personal foul, face mask, kicking team number 6, a 15-yard penalty. First down, Oregon State.
And you're on it. You saw that.
Well, you see, you get him right here. He hits him hard upside the head, knocks the helmet off. Not sure it's a face mask, but it is a penalty.
On Charles Nelson. And it gives Oregon State a free 15 yards, and that's the field position, Glenn, which you just talked about. Benefit of the Ducks. Now Oregon State gets a free 15 yards.
That's right. And you know it's a rivalry because the emotions are starting to show a little bit.
From the 38. You got to be able to channel those emotions in a rivalry game. Victor Bolden in motion. It's Marcus McMarion keeps, and he gets one before he's brought down by Troy Dye.
They're trying a lot of things to stretch the edges so there's running room down the middle, because Oregon has done a much better job this entire game of really bottling up middle of the field against the Beavers. That's why Gary Anderson told Kate how much he wanted to run the ball better. Right now they're not able to do it. Oregon's defensive front doing a really good job keeping everything tucked inside.
Second down, 9. 3 receivers out to the left. Ryan Nall, the running back, as McMarion will throw. McMarion tipped to the line, and it's incomplete. And it's third down.
Good job getting his hand up there.
Wayne Tate Kirby.
Let's see. Hey, you can't get there. Get your paws up. That's a nice job. I think that's Gary Baker got his hand on that. Wayne Tate Kirby, the freshman. I saw the 1. I only saw the 1.
Well, I'm impressed with what Brady Hoke has done with his defense, considering how many guys they have coming in and out and injuries they're dealing with, and they've put up a strong showing here like they did in Salt Lake City last week. 3rd and 9. Marcus McMarion looking, throws, coming back, and it's incomplete. Tried to squeeze it into Victor Bolden Jr.
And Bolden Jr. does a great job coming back for the ball, but it looks like it goes right through his hands. I mean, this ball is put out there. Let's see how close it gets, because Bolden has to come back. It's going to be a first down. He does a nice job coming back, but he doesn't turn his hands over. He tries to basket it.
He's got to make that play.
He's got to make that play.
Perebski on to punt. And he launches this one toward Dylan Mitchell. It calls for a fair catch. And he makes it at the Oregon 21-yard line. A 40-yard punt. Oregon with the lead and the football in the Civil War.
Oh, welcome back. Parker's Puzzler. Are we here? How about the power surge of the teams? Colorado, Washington State. These guys have all come up. They're title contenders, but now how about the power outage on the flip side? The Oregon, UCLA, Arizona, all struggling this year. These are the things that just kind of make you shake your head a little bit. How about right on cue? The faces at QB, the new people, Sam Darnold first amongst them. And what a tough act to follow. Chris McCaffrey. 43% of Stanford's offense. How about quietly dominating? He has done that.
Royce Freeman gets the ball on first down, and he gets about 3 out to the 24-yard line. And Christian McCaffrey and the Stanford Cardinal in action later after we're done with the Civil War. 5 o'clock kick from Stanford Stadium. Stanford and Rice right here on Pac-12 Network.
That beautiful Parker's Puzzler, Adam Gordon, doing great work as always for me.
Justin Herbert to the outside, and it's Jacob Breeland the catch. And he's brought down at the 45 by Dwayne Williams.
So tight ends for the Ducks. They're using them a lot today. It was a problem, I think, and it always has been for Oregon State. What can tight ends do to them? You see right here, Bradford, they've done a nice job because that opens up more and more the middle of the field that they can attack against the safeties.
Short gain for Freeman. And Oregon a little short-handed at tight end. Pharaoh Brown not available today. He's out, not in uniform. And we saw Evan Bayless get dinged up in the first half, and Breeland stepped in and done a nice job. This is a critical sequence here for Oregon State. And Herbert complete to Johnny Munt.
Johnny
and
Munt,
he gets into Oregon State territory.
the tight end. He's in the backfield this time, comes out of the backfield for this. So what they're doing, they're attacking edges right now with their tight ends. Again, where have they made their most yards? Over routes and middle of the field. Those are the big plays come. Watch for them setting that up.
1st and 10 at the 44. The give to Freeman. And he is brought down after a short gain. Good job in the middle of the Oregon State defense. Kalanivaka Melalo, the sophomore from Kapolei, Hawaii. Inside 9 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Ducks up a touchdown. Justin Herbert fires, and it's nearly intercepted by Dwayne Williams. The pass behind Johnny Munt.
Those are the plays you just got to make. 2nd down, the ball's at you. Just got to come up with it.
3rd down and 8. Oregon State needs a stop.
Now you feel like this game is starting to slide a little against them. Their offense hasn't done anything. They need a big play here.
Ducks just 2 of 4 on 3rd down. The screen to Royce Freeman cuts it back. And Freeman, 1st down and more.
And Freeman shows why he's been so good for the Ducks. Understanding where the sticks are, making a couple of people miss to get it, and then showing that burst.
Just outside the 20. Tony Brooks-James tripped up, somehow stayed up, and there's a flag down that came in late as Brooks-James gets down to the 14. Manase Hungalu on the tackle, but we'll check the flag.
Yeah, Paisa Savea, the defensive tackle, came up shaking his head like, didn't you see it?
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense number 78, a 15-yard penalty. The down will count. 2nd.
So Cameron Hunt, who earlier in the game drew a penalty by giving a little bit of extracurricular, this time he gets the flag against him.
And Hunt's always been a guy, Glenn, that has played right up until the edge.
That's
and
right.
Sometimes crosses it.
But see right there, he knocks him down and then he drives in on top of him again. If he hadn't done that, no big deal.
But that's what makes Hunt such a terrific player, is how fiercely he plays and the edge he plays with.
No doubt.
Herbert looking deep for the end zone for Johnny Munt. Incomplete. Caleb Salo went back into coverage.
Yeah, Caleb Salo running stride for stride with Munt. That's a good, you would think that's a good matchup for Oregon. But Salo does a nice job staying with him, playing with his hands a little bit, turns around. That's a really good job in coverage.
3rd and 20. Rather, 3rd and 18 is what they're calling it. Oregon can get a 1st down at the Beavers 11. Brooks-James in at running back. 4 receivers for Herbert. Herbert throws over the middle, almost intercepted.
It's 2 drops of easy interceptions for this defense. Now Chappelle, you see right here, Devin Chappelle goes down. He has this ball. He's in it, but he drops it, and he starts immediately grabbing his hand. Now after the 1st down where Royce Freeman almost got, after that 1st down, he was holding that hand. He had heard it at some point at that time.
And you can tell it's still stinging for Chappelle. So here comes Aiden Schneider for a 46-yard attempt to try to make it a 2-score game. Schneider, 8 of 11 this year. His long is 47. His career long is 47, which he's made twice. Schneider has the leg. It is good. Aiden Schneider from 46 yards away. And it's 24-14 Ducks.
Welcome back to Corvallis, where the Oregon Ducks lead the Oregon State Beavers 24-14. What a beautiful shot. You know, we get these incredible shots where we come back in and out, all thanks to Art Ferraro and the entire video crew, the things they do. You know, Art loves coming to Corvallis because it's one of the few times he can wear black.
It's been a dry Civil War game. We expected some rain. It has held off, and it actually was a beautiful day right around kickoff. And speaking of the kickoff, Matt Wogan sends it through the back of the end zone, and we send it to Greg Wolf back in the studios. Greg, it's a USC in a rivalry game with Notre Dame at the Coliseum, and the Trojans, boy, ever since they made that switch at quarterback, and I know that Darnold started that game where they lost at Utah, but since then, that has been just an impressive team to watch, the way they've come together for Clay Helton.
And Darnold's been impressive. Just the fun he's having, number one, but the way he's getting it done. It's another great USC quarterback.
And just a redshirt freshman as Ryan Nall picks up 3 yards. And this is a huge drive, Glenn, for Oregon State. What do they need to do on this drive?
Well, when you're in this situation, first and foremost, you've got to change field position. Second, you got to come away with points. So most important is change that field position. Then it's got to be points. And they really need it because they really have not done anything on offense in the second half.
Last 3 drives, 3 straight punts. And a 2-score lead for the Ducks, who are looking to win their 9th consecutive Civil War. Ryan Nall straight ahead. First down, and Nall breaks through the line out to the 41.
Another thing I would look for is look for McMarion to throw in non-passing situations. So this is split flow. They did a great job with it. It's something we've shown you. It's just zone read off of it. Give him the ball. And Nall shows that burst that he has. But I would expect McMarion to throw a little more often in non-passing situations.
And his longest carry of the day, 13 yards. From the Beavers, 41. McMarion keeps, and Marcus McMarion runs into Oregon territory. 18 more for the Beavers.
We discussed they needed to do this a couple of drives ago. This is a simple way of running a type of split flow, but McMarion is the option at this point. He takes off, he's gone, does a nice job. You've got to find ways to get to the edge against the Ducks, and that's one of the few ways they've found they can do it.
Ricky Ortiz, the H-back, is Artavis Pierce in the game at running back at the Oregon 41. On first down, Pierce the ball carrier, and Pierce drags a couple of tacklers with him to the 37.
Pierce is a nice change of pace from Nall. A little more speedy, a little more one cut and go.
Pierce, the freshman from Lake Alfred, Florida. First start a few weeks ago against UCLA when he ran for a career-high 73 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And here comes the rain that you mentioned. We're starting to see it fall now.
It's as if Mother Nature was listening to me and I was taunting her.
Wow.
Because it had stayed dry.
You know, it's not nice to mess with Mother Nature.
I shouldn't. I spoke too soon. On second down, Pierce again. Pierce! Inside the 20, and Johnny Reagan brought him down. But another big run for Oregon State as the Beavers, needing a drive like this, are getting one.
And they're getting great push from their offensive line. Hands are inside. You see that's a Velcro-style block. They're sticking to those blocks. Pierce making them pay. 20-yard gain for Pierce. Does a nice job getting that second level fast.
At the Oregon 17. Oregon State in the red zone. Split backs. Pierce goes in motion, and it screens it up to Pierce. And Pierce tripped up at the 15. Nice open field tackle.
Just a miss in timing. Bolden gets the cut that he needs, but the ball hadn't been delivered just yet. So by the time he makes his cut, the defender's up and gets to make the play.
Khalil Oliver tripped him up. At the Ducks' 14-yard line.
That was one of those non-passing down throws we talked about.
Timmy Hernandez, Jordan Villeman out to the right. Victor Bolden out to the left as Ryan Nall back in at running back. Bolden, the motion man, and it's Nall the carry. There's a hole for Nall. Touchdown, Oregon State. second rushing touchdown for Nall. And a gaping hole for the Oregon State running back.
And you're right, the offensive line, great push. Bolden in around in ghost motion, draws the defense. And Nall makes him pay. Shows some speed, too. Great drive by the Beavers.
And the answer they needed. After falling behind 2 scores, Garrett Owens the extra point. And it's a 3-point game as we reach the late stages of the third quarter of the Civil War.
And just watch this motion, draw the defense over the top. It opens wide up for Nall then. Great blocking up front, right guard Dustin Stanton pins inside, and Nall is gone. Well designed, well set up, and perfectly executed.
11 rushing touchdowns for Ryan Nall on the season. And it's a 3-point game as the rain is really starting to come down now. The wind is picking up. This is what you expect this time of the year in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, and it's going to start favoring the team that doesn't have to throw the ball as much. Oregon State, that drive was 7 plays, 6 of them runs. You know, most of that yardage on the ground. That starts favoring the Beavers as we move forward.
72 of the 75 yards in that touchdown drive on the ground as it took Oregon State 7 plays to motor down the field.
And the fans are howling because this rain is starting to really come down.
Adley Rutschman with the kickoff, and it's a pooch kick that bounces. Oregon State has it. Andre Bowden recovered. There's a flag. There's a flag back at the line of scrimmage where Oregon State was kicking off.
And that's where you get an offside. Someone a little aggressive gets out in front of it.
Offside. Kicking team number 86. 5-yard penalty. Free kick.
So Bowden, who recovered the kickoff, was guilty of being offside.
And we'll take a look. That's a tough call. I don't know that he was over the line before that ball is kicked.
It was close. Very close. The officials ruling offside, so it'll back Oregon State up 5 in a re-kick. So a huge break that could have gone the Beavers' way, but a penalty gives Oregon another chance here.
And we'll get one last look. You're looking for 86, but you're looking for anybody offsides. That ball hits. Boy, that's close. That's a tough call to make, but it's right in front of the official. He doesn't hear the kick, and he sees the jersey beforehand. He throws the flag.
And into the wind. Rutschman will kick this one off as the wind knocks the football off the tee. And all of a sudden, in the last 5 minutes, the weather has completely changed. The wind has picked up. The rain is going sideways.
Both these teams deal with it. They live right here, 45 miles apart. They know what they're doing. But you know what it does? It's the energy factor. This stadium was kind of dead just a few minutes ago, and now it's alive. It's jumping. People are standing around. They're getting excited. The rivalry just got real live all of a sudden again.
Bowden holding it for the kickoff. And again, a short kickoff. And it's Justin Hollins who makes the catch at the Oregon 38. We send it to Greg Wolf.
Don't fill out your Heisman ballots yet. Back to you guys.
I'm still waiting with my Heisman ballot until the final game has been played. Herbert dumps it off to Royce Freeman, who's run out of bounds near the 45. But Adoree Jackson trying to make a statement. Can he make a push? I know it's a lot to ask.
I think it's too late, and you have to, it's one of those things that you know as well as I do. You really got to dethrone someone, and Lamar Jackson's been anointed. He's going to have to really have a bad game here soon.
Royce Freeman Out to the 49, has a first down. Now let's send it down to Cade, who's braving the elements on the field.
Well, as you guys mentioned, both of these schools obviously used to the rain, but another thing you mentioned I think is going to be the most important thing to pay attention to, the wind. It is really a swirling wind down here, going really hard one direction 1 second, very next second really hard the other direction. So keep an eye on this swirling wind, guys.
We'll keep an eye on it from our cozy position up here in the booth. We got a roof, we're inside. We're not as tough as Cade is.
No. And the thing is, before this happened, I was thinking afterwards, big game, maybe sit outside, talk a little bit, let the traffic die. Now I'm going to be sitting in my car in traffic.
Or we're going to stay up here.
I'll stay right here.
As an injury for Oregon State is Dwayne Williams getting looked at. It's 1st and 10 Oregon at the Ducks 49, leading at 24-21. Late stages of the third quarter of the Civil War, and for about 2.5 quarters we had perfect weather for this time of the year in Corvallis. It was a lovely morning. We had some sunshine around kickoff, but when I decided to bring up the weather factor, ever since then, Glenn, it's my fault.
Some would talk about a personality that believes themselves to have that type of power. I'm just saying.
I shouldn't have said anything. From the 49. A loose football got on the field from the Oregon sideline, so they'd stop play. After a
Bedlam is breaking
timeout for the injury. All types of stuff going on. It's the Civil War. Royce Freeman at running back. A high snap. Herbert. Play action. On the move. Herbert. And he goes down. It's a loss on the play. Caleb Salo will get credit for the sack. And the first for Oregon State today. And it's 4th on the season.
And a good job when it breaks down, being where you have to be, but your safety's not falling asleep and letting someone get behind them. Nowhere to go with the ball. Now they've got this, they like this formation. Tight end is in that slot. Look for him.
2nd and 12. High snap again. Herbert throws it high. And there's a flag down. It's incomplete. It's twice in a row Jake Hansen has had issues getting the snap back to Justin Herbert.
The wind, the water.
Holding. Offense number 55. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
And I wouldn't say it's the water. I'd say it's the wind right now more than anything. Kate was talking about how it's swirling. We're looking at the flags right now. They're straight out.
So Hansen not only having difficulty with the snaps right now, he was called for holding. 2nd and 22. Back at the Oregon 37. Movement up front. Did Oregon State jump across first as Elu Aiden was offside?
I think so. And he made contact. Gary Anderson's going to lose his mind.
Offside with contact. Defense number 99. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That's on the redshirt freshman Aiden.
You have got them in a position. Here's the snaps we talk about. This one's high. That creates timing issues. This one, well and above. Again, the type of things that hurt your drives. But if you're Oregon State, you can't have these penalties.
Gets 5 back for the Ducks after the hold, so it's 2nd down 17. Herbert, give to Royce Freeman. Hit at the line by Hungalu.
Well done by Manasseh Hungalu, just making sure, understanding what his responsibility was, and getting across the line to take the line of scrimmage.
And it's 3rd down and 17. 4 receivers. Justin Herbert to Jalen Brown. And Brown brought down. Good open field tackle by Xavier Crawford, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, Xavier Crawford, great job. You worried he was going to get beat outside, but he does a great job wrapping up and forcing this punt.
Ian Wheeler punting with the wind here. Victor Bolden back to return, standing inside his own 15.
And remember, in a minute and a half, Oregon State's going to have the wind at their back.
And Wheeler gets the punt away. And that one will trickle inside the 5 and into the end zone. They're saying no, they kept it out of the end zone. Now there's a touchback signal. Seemed to be some confusion with the referees.
Well, considering they were staring at each other, you think they probably would have had that down. But one thought it was out, one thought it was in. So you have a referee on the hash and one on the sideline. He has stepped on the line when he's touching the ball. Now, if he's allowed to be in the end zone if he's touching the ball outside the end zone. But at the point where you're touching in the end zone and the ball is there, it comes back out.
And the ball clearly was on the goal line and even it was on part of the black.
That's correct.
So therefore, the touchback call is a good call, and Oregon State has the ball at their own 20-yard line. After a 56-yard punt, Wheeler's best of the season. Three-point game. Final minute 12 of the third quarter. Hernandez goes in motion. And it's Nall the carry, and Nall brought down by Justin Hollins after a 5-yard gain.
And Nall is such a part of this offense all day. We talk about they run the offense through him. So now you start putting pressure on this Oregon defense. Even though they've got the lead, they can feel that momentum change. They know that the wind's going to be in their offense's face the entire fourth quarter.
Second down, 5. And it's Ryan Nall straight ahead, and he barrels out to the 29, a yard shy of the first down. Jimmy Swain, the tackle. And it's third and a yard, what could have been the final play of the third quarter.
Nall, you see, snap is good. Nall takes the ball. Like the fact he's got points of pressure on it. And he just keeps the pads low. You see, nobody gets there's no soft tissue hits. It's hitting the pads. You bounce off of it.
And nothing soft about the Civil War. A tight one in Corvallis as we head to the fourth. Ducks 24, Beavers 21 on Pac-12 Network. From a sold-out Reser Stadium, it's the Civil War. Victor Bolden has it stripped. Oregon has it. Looking to throw is Jalen Brown. Touchdown, Oregon. McMarion dumps it off. Touchdown. Touchdown, Oregon. Charles Nelson.
When you haven't had the season you want, you do what it takes.
Well, both Mark Helfrich and Gary Anderson have had their teams well prepared for this Civil War. And it's been a terrific afternoon of football and a tight one in Corvallis with 1 quarter to go.
Would you have it any other way? This is outstanding.
Along with Glenn Parker and Kate Scott, Roxy Bernstein with you at Reser Stadium is Ryan Nall. It's close.
Wow, it is really close. They're marking right on the line. It depends. Do they mark it just short or just over? It depends. Where the nub of that ball is will be the difference.
And it is enough to move the sticks. First down, Beavers. As Ryan Nall closing in on 100 yards. He's at 95 today. And 2 touchdowns for Nall. Marcus McMarion, sophomore quarterback for the Beavers. Bolden in motion. And again, it's Nall. This time he's wrapped up behind the line. And a gang of Oregon Ducks there, led by Arion Springs. The corner was the first man there as the Oregon defense took a team picture in the backfield.
Yeah, and really, Justin Hollins is the one. He read that perfectly. He trusted his eyes when he looked at McMarion, and he got himself down in there. And you're right, Arion Springs was right in there as well.
Justin Hollins.
I think you're right, they had coffee back there.
Second and 11. Timmy Hernandez, the motion man. McMarion keeps. McMarion, first down and more. Marcus McMarion into Oregon territory, finally brought down by Jimmy Swain.
And what we said is on the last drive, they had a big play with that same. Just a 33-yard gain because the defense is so keyed to Nall that they didn't even pay attention to McMarion when he pulled the ball. Great block downfield by Victor Bolden. How about that? Senior wide receiver throwing his body downfield.
He doesn't want to exit his Beavers career without a victory over Oregon. And the Beavs at the 38. This time it is Ryan Nall straight ahead, only for a couple. Justin Holland's the first man there, and help from Elijah George.
And Holland's down, is looking like he was hurt. Back up. You can tell he's coming off the field now. Looked like he was grabbing his arm because he was trying to strip the ball so hard.
And again, the wind at Oregon State's back, but not as fierce as we saw it just about 10 minutes ago. At the 36, second down 8. Ricky Ortiz, the H-back. As it's Nall dancing through the line. Nall to the outside. First down, Ugo Amadi chopped him down.
A great tackle by Ugo Amadi. But back to what they do. It's zone blocking, split flow. You're going to see Ortiz cross in front, and that's where Nall's going. Now there's great penetration up front from Elijah George. But Nall, strong enough to get through that, and then nifty enough to get 14 yards.
Fourth 100-yard game this season for Nall, and his 6th of his career. And his 2nd in as many games against Oregon. Artavis Pierce gives him a breather. As Pierce takes the handoff, and Pierce breaks a tackle. And Pierce down to the 20.
One thing is clear, not only, hey, these guys are all running hard, but everybody's hitting hard. The hits they're taking right now, you can tell this is a rivalry game. It's stepped up a notch. The emotion is definitely there.
There is no tomorrow for each side. This is the final game of the season, and everybody laying it on the line, leaving everything they have on the field here in Corvallis.
Yeah, if you're from Oregon, you went to one of these two schools, just the way it is. Talking to my nephew earlier, who goes to Oregon, all of his friends went to Oregon State. He comes up here to see him, cheer, and get a little crazy.
Artavis Pierce breaks a tackle, and Pierce still going. Finally brought down by Troy Dye. Tremendous run by the freshman Artavis Pierce.
Now you have to ask yourself, okay, hey, Oregon State is playing hard right now. They're going after it. Look at it, breaking tackles, getting out. They are playing for something that they haven't had in a long time. Oregon is playing for pride. Which one gives out first is the question you ask.
First down, 10 Beavers at the Oregon 12 as Oregon State looking for the lead. Pierce continues at running back. McMarion keeps. McMarion down to the 6. Danny Mattingly there along with Khalil Oliver. This has been an impressive drive for Oregon State.
They take a look at the rushing yards right there. In a game like this, it's time of possession, obviously, but the rushing yards, that's what's enabling that time of possession. The 2-yard gains, the 3-yard gains, Nall just dragging people.
11th play of the drive. Ryan Nall back in on second down. Victor Bolden in motion. And it's Nall straight ahead. He's in. Touchdown, Oregon State. And the Beavers have gone in front.
They run the same play they ran earlier for a touchdown, but going the other way. Ghost motion, split flow, Nall right through the middle. It broke for a big gain earlier in the game. It breaks for a touchdown this time for the Beavers.
3 rushing touchdowns for Ryan Nall in this Civil War.
Play, a touchdown is under further review.
They're going to review to see if Nall did indeed get in or was his knee down prior to the ball crossing the goal line.
Well, let's take a look. We're going to get a great look right here. And that ball is over. That's a touchdown. That's great camera work. Jillian Crowell, Jeremy Brown out there doing the work. Good stuff.
Braving the elements.
That's right. And let's not forget Joe Sonnenberg. And the guy who kind of sets everything up for us, Bjorn Estlund. It's all ready for us because of the work they put in. Great job.
We have an amazing crew, and we're lucky to have them here for the Civil War.
Oh, I know. And people often ask me about my fashion sense. I say I get it from Ernie Sparger. The guy he's the best.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So the ruling stands, touchdown Beavers.
No, I joke. Ernie does wear a lot of Hawaiian shirts, but he does a great job keeping us all in line.
Well, since I just came from Hawaii, that
there you go.
Makes me feel like he's easing me back into the mainland.
So the Beavers they went from 3 possessions of punting to a dominant drive to close out the third quarter and start this fourth quarter.
Garrett Owens nails the extra point, and Oregon State has the lead in the 120th Civil War.
Can you dominate the trenches? That's what Gary Anderson wants. He's got it with his O-line and Ryan Nall, and they take the lead.
Oregon State with the lead in the 120th Civil War in Corvallis in a driving rain right now, as the Beavs have rallied from 24-14 down, and Ryan Nall leading the comeback. 3 rushing scores, 112 yards on the ground today for the Beavers sophomore running back. Adley Rutschman the kickoff. Tony Brooks-James lets it go into the end zone, a touchback, and let's send it to Greg Wolf in the studios. So Penn State trying to wrap up that berth in the Big Ten Championship with a win against Michigan State. And we're still going to find out who's going to represent the Pac-12 South in the Pac-12 title game against Washington next week. From the 25, Royce Freeman the carry. And Freeman, the penalty flag down, out across the 30.
It's in the place the hold usually gets thrown.
Hold it. Offense, number 78. 10-yard penalty. Okay, first down.
Right guard Cameron Hunt.
He's upset. He's jawing a little bit with the refs. But, I like what Mark Helfrich, I like what they did here. You don't want to put this on the shoulders of your true freshman quarterback. You challenge your offensive line and your experienced running back to drive this ball down the field.
After the penalty, football back at the 15, 1st and 20. It's Royce Freeman to the outside, cuts it back, and he gets out across the 20, gains 6.
Looks a little slippery out there. And that's not something you would think you would see when the Ducks play the Beavers, that anybody would have trouble with their footing, but Royce Freeman there looked like he slipped just a tad.
Jonathan Willis credited with the tackle. 2nd down, 14. Here is Herbert. Screen set up for Charles Nelson. Nelson. Not much there. It appeared there was some daylight early, but then quickly the Beavers closed in. Sumner Houston, the first man there.
You'll see offensive line. They let them get beat. They get downfield. It looks, as you said, it looks like something's there, but guys start flying around. Everything happens a little faster, as we said. It's a rivalry.
3rd and 12.
The play was stopped for violation of the substitution rule. It is 3rd down.
So a big 3rd and 12 for the Ducks. At the 23. And a draw play for Royce Freeman. And Freeman out to the 30, where Devin Chappelle tackled him, and it's 4th down. Interesting play call.
Well, yeah, I think they don't want to put Herbert in a position to make a bad throw to hurt himself. There's a lot of time in this game left. If your defense shows up, you have a chance, you get the ball. Now, it was interesting. It was telling that there was that substitution rule violation with the down. That really hurt Oregon.
Freeman now over 100 yards. Ian Wheeler punting from his own 15. And into the wind, you see the ball just dies, but it takes an Oregon bounce. And it'll be downed at the Beavers' 31-yard line. 40-yard punt for Wheeler. Oregon State has the lead, and the football just past the midway point of the 4th.
Welcome back to Corvallis, where Oregon State is up 28-24 their last drive. McMarion with the keep. He gets out and about. That puts pressure on the edges. And then, hey, let's give it back to Wrecking Ball Nall. Let him have it. All he did was account for 25 yards, 24 of the yards on that drive after contact. But more impressive, an 11-play drive that was all runs, not a single pass. That just warms the cockles of an offensive lineman's heart.
From the 32, and they give it to Nall, and Nall is tripped up. Johnny Reagan got his hands in there at the feet of Ryan Nall, a gain of 4. And this right here, Oregon's defense needs to step up and either get a stop or make a play forcing a turnover.
That's exactly right. Now, it feels much more desperate than I really think it is, but when they're capable, as we just saw the Beavers, that was a 11-play drive that took 6.5 minutes. They're capable of eating the rest of this clock if you're Oregon.
All 3 timeouts per side remaining. On 2nd and 6, Marcus McMarion. And the give to Nall. And Nall spinning for a first down. Justin Hollins on the tackle.
So year by year, this is the Oregon defense under Mark Helfrich. Now, if this is the stock market in your portfolio, you're happy. But defensively, this many yards year by year getting worse. Now, there has been a change at defensive coordinator twice. So that's a big part of it. Personnel groupings are different because of the different coaches, but not the trend you'd like to see. Mark Helfrich, there's been a lot of talk. Does he deserve the talk? I don't believe so. I think he's too good a coach, too good a recruiter. I think got to be patient. Give him a chance to do his thing.
He's 37-15 in his 4 seasons. Nall straight ahead, and Nall across midfield. You think about what Mark Helfrich has accomplished. An Oregon school record, 13 wins back in 2014, an appearance in the national championship game, a Rose Bowl win, a conference championship, all for Mark Helfrich in his 4 seasons at Oregon as the head coach.
It's kind of like being the president, though. It's the guy in front of you did it all, right? It wasn't you. That's what a lot of people are going to want to believe. It wasn't him. So I'd look now. This is where Oregon has to be careful. Big plays can happen when you try to do too much. You get caught looking, play action maybe, quarterback keep maybe, big things can kill you.
2nd and 2, Nall gets the first down, powers to the 45. Khalil Oliver and Johnny Reagan brought him down.
And I would think as effective as they are being the last 2 drives running, the push that they're getting up front, look at that push. They're getting a hat on a hat. He's not touched until yard 3, and he gets himself 6. I don't think you have to do anything out of the ordinary if you're Oregon State. But if you're Oregon, you have to guard against everything. It makes it even harder on you.
At the 44. Bolden the motion man. And it's Nall straight ahead. And Nall brought down at the 40. Coming up after the ball game, it's the Sonic post-game report. Greg Wolf, Curtis Conway, Nick Aliotti, and Evan Moore in the studio. They'll break down the Civil War, talk about Adoree Jackson's big day, and a preview of Stanford hosting Rice coming up at 5 o'clock here on Pac-12 Network. Second down. Bolden again in motion. And this is Nall. First down, barrels his way inside the 30. And Oregon State just riding the wrecking Nall, Ryan Nall.
If anything embodies the difference between Oregon State and Oregon and their mentalities, it is Ryan Nall. It's not pretty. It's right in your face and smashing you. They're not going to be fancy. They're not going to be fast. They're just going to tell you what they're going to do, and then they're going to go do it.
At the 27-yard line, inside 3:15 to go. Oregon desperately needs a stop. Artavis Pierce runs right into Mondu, but then drags a couple of tacklers with him down to the 20.
Artavis Pierce has come in, and what a change in tempo, but running just as hard. He's so impressive.
It seemed he was wrapped up for a loss on the play, but Henry Mondu could not bring him down.
He kept his feet driving, and then the big fellas, they just kind of get in there and push that pile.
And Mondu needs help off the field. Second and 4, and I'd ask you, when will Oregon start using timeouts? But they need to get a stop at some point instead of giving up these big chunks.
Yeah, you know that's exactly right. And so the first down stops the clock briefly, but there's a point where they're going to have to call timeouts and or get that stop. And Oregon State's feeding on this right now. That offensive line doesn't want any trickery. They don't want anything to happen other than to just keep running the ball.
And Oregon State content to let this clock roll down and snap it when they're inside 5 on the play clock.
Very wise use of the clock. The way they've been doing it has been outstanding this entire fourth quarter.
Second and 4. Pierce to the outside. Pierce inside the 5, pushed out of bounds.
And how about Pierce, smart enough not to run out of bounds, gets himself back inside and will take the hit rather than run out of bounds to keep the clock running. Look at him stop right here and stay in, and then lower the shoulder to stay in.
20 more for the Beavers and Artavis Pierce. First and goal at the 1, and Oregon State looking for the knockout blow. And it's Nall back in the game. Nall straight ahead. Touchdown Oregon State, and that may do it. 4 touchdowns for Ryan Nall. And the Beavers are a minute 56 away from their first win over Oregon since 2007. Garrett Owens off the high snap, misses the extra point. 10-point game.
Well, when you watch a fight, how do knockouts happen? Someone gets punched in the face. And the Beavers just punched the Ducks right in the bill.
Our 76 fueled moment, and Ryan Nall into the end zone for a 4th time today. And he single-handedly, Glenn, trying to end this drought for Oregon State against the Ducks.
Well, single-handedly, yeah. Offensive line, yeah. How about the entire, that team came out and said, we're going to run the ball down your throat and take over this game, and they've done so.
20 straight points for Oregon State as we check in with Kate.
It wasn't like the Beavers needed any more inspiration coming into this ball game today, but they got it anyway because Seth Collins, after spending a couple of weeks in the hospital with what local reporters confirmed was a scary case of meningitis, released on Thanksgiving. He was out with the boys dancing pregame, was firing them up over there on the sidelines, had a moment with his coach. The guys said that they wanted to win for him. Victor Bolden Jr. told me that having him here today means everything, that they wanted to win this ball game for him.
And Kate, they're a minute 56 away from winning the Civil War. Justin Herbert on first down. Fires over the middle, in and out of the hands of Jalen Brown. Incomplete. And Glenn, this was a 24-14 lead for Oregon in the middle of the third quarter. Then this game drastically changed in Gary Anderson's way, in his favor. What have you noticed changed the tide of this football game?
Well, the inability of Oregon to close out some drives, obviously that was a big deal. But when the field goal, we take a field goal rather than the touchdown. That's huge.
Herbert on second down. To the outside, and Johnny Munt with the catch and steps out of bounds.
And then the taking away of Royce Freeman in so many of the things they'd like to do with him. The isolating Charles Nelson and not allowing Herbert to roll and find him. And by doing those things, you kind of take over the game, and they've decided, okay, now we're going to run the ball on top of that.
On third down, Herbert. And it's broken up by Brandon Arnold, tried to get that to Charles Nelson.
And to put an exclamation on it, going into half, what did Gary Anderson say? We got to run the ball better. Well, they came out and they looked terrible, but then they ran the ball 21 straight times for 2 touchdowns. So that's how these things happen.
4th and 6 at the 29. A minute 39 to go. Herbert throws toward the sideline, and it's caught. Darren Carrington, first down Oregon, out near midfield and past midfield in the Beavers territory.
Absolutely beautiful throw, and what a catch by Carrington. The guy just keeps showing up. 26 yards. They get out of a 4th down. There's still plenty of time. They score. They can get the ball back.
Herbert under pressure. Herbert throws it away. Johnny Munt was in the area, and it's second down.
And here's that previous play. Good form, steps through the ball, puts it right out where only Carrington has a chance at it.
Minute 25 remaining. Oregon has all 3 timeouts. Herbert over the middle to Carrington, and it's a first down inside the 30.
Remember what we said in that first half? That's where they're finding their yards. It's been over the middle and deep. So over the middle is open. The linebackers are up tight. The safeties aren't closing down.
Herbert for the end zone, incomplete.
And right about now, if you're a Beavers fan, you're thinking, oh yeah, that extra point.
10-point game. Pass intended for Jalen Brown. Second down and 10. Do you start thinking about a field goal, Glenn, because you need to score twice?
Yeah, if you get to a position, where it's at that point, you go, okay, we get a field goal, try to get the ball back to score. You're going to have to do it anyways.
Here's Herbert, steps up, goes down. Elu Aiden, the redshirt freshman from American Samoa.
Herbert steps up. That's not your offensive lineman's fault. Quarterback's supposed to be in a spot. He should roll out. By stepping up, he steps up into the block.
Oregon burns their first timeout with exactly a minute to go. And Aiden gets his first sack of the season. And a 3rd and 13 coming up for the Ducks, down 10 with exactly 60 seconds remaining.
Remember what we said earlier. The Beavers are playing for something they haven't had. And the Ducks are playing for pride, and that's where you wonder when the time comes. Maybe that's another thing that, other than just running the ball down their throat, was a big motivating factor.
And we're seeing that desperation that Oregon State is playing with today, knowing this is their chance. They've been dominated by Oregon the last 8 years.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to end that run, and they played that way today like there is no tomorrow.
If you've watched Oregon State as much as I have, but as fans have, they know this team has never laid down this entire year. They've played hard all the way through every game. And I can only think of one game they were really run off the field.
That's a credit to Gary Anderson and his staff, the way they've gotten the buy-in, as you termed it earlier, and there's no quit in this Oregon State team all season. On third down, Herbert steps up. Herbert launches for the end zone, and it's intercepted. No, incomplete. Treston Teku could not hang on.
He's gonna just kick himself. A chance to end it right there, but great job on his part. It was great defense. He's been all day long. He's been there. Comes down and just a little violently.
And it's fourth down. Last hope for Oregon to hang in this game. They've converted one fourth down already on this drive.
And look, middle of the field, that's where they've been getting their yards.
Herbert under pressure. Throws for the end zone, open, and it's dropped. Johnny Munt was wide open.
And credit Herbert, he did a great job of staying alive. He saw Munt open, middle of the field out there. How he got that open, who knows, and he puts it on him, and that's a big time reaction to that Herbert isn't a child. He walked up and hugged Johnny Munt. And that's what we talk about. Sometimes the easiest ones are the hardest.
And there's the dejection from Herbert. Knows he made the play, and you feel for Johnny Munt, a senior, playing in his final game.
No doubt, but I'll go back to the maturity of Herbert. Not overreacting there. I think we're going to see a lot of great things from him.
Marcus McMarion assumes the victory formation, and he goes to a knee. And Oregon State now 34 seconds away as Oregon takes a timeout.
Oregon, the first of the half. Please reset the game clock to 36 seconds.
They have one more timeout coming up next on Pac-12 Network. One more game for you at 5 o'clock. From the farm, Christian McCaffrey and number 24 Stanford against Rice. As Ted Robinson, Yogi Roth, Cindy Brunson at Stanford Stadium for that one. And Christian McCaffrey, who last week ran for a Stanford single-game record in their big game win against Cal. McMarion drops to a knee. Helfrich can stop it once more if he wants, and the only question now is, will we get a field storming?
And it looks like they're holding them back at this point.
We've got our answer. Here they come. And for the first time since 2007, Oregon State will win the Civil War.
What a great win for Gary Anderson. How hard he's tried to change this program. And this is justification for him.
And somewhere out of the field, Kate Scott is with Gary Anderson.
Yeah, I somehow found him in this madness, Coach. You snapped the streak. You got your first win in the Civil War. What's this like? Look around.
Unbelievable. It's a great crowd. These kids work their tails off, come back from 10 points down, run the ball. They followed our plan to win. I love these kids. I love this place. Go Beavers.
Ryan Nall had a Civil War performance for the ages. Talk about that kid.
Yeah, this one.
Get that kid.
He's
That is just as important.
He's a tough kid now. He runs hard. He's physical. The O-line did a great job. We just wore him out at the end, and I don't know what else to say. I love my kids, man.
Well, and you said something that stuck with us during our phone call earlier in the week, that you'd love to give your seniors more wins. You can't do that, but you wanted to get them a win today. So what would you like to say to your seniors?
I love them. You know, they stuck with us through all the change and everything that came around, a lot of hard times. And, it's a tough deal.
You
go Beavs, how about that? Let's go.
Got your first one, Garrett. Congratulations. Guys, back to you.
All right, Kate, the emotions and the candor from Gary Anderson, and how much you can see, Glenn, on his face, and just talking to Kate, how much this win means to him and the program that he's building at Oregon State.
He came in, he tore it down, he's rebuilding, and these are the type that change your program, particularly when you're a guy that's done it before.
So Oregon State behind, a terrific performance from Ryan Nall and a great second half comeback. They were down, they rallied, and Oregon State found a way to get it done and end the drought against Oregon, the first win of the Civil War for the Beavers since 2007. For Glenn Parker and Kate Scott, our terrific Pac-12 Network crew, Director Scott Barkey, producer Michael Molinari, everybody here in Corvallis, the final 34-24 Beavers. Now to San Francisco in the Sonic Post-Game Report.